Create my business in such a way that I can be duplicated, not replaced, but duplicated because I want to take vacations. I like taking naps, things like that. And I don't want to be the bottleneck in the business. So, what services can I clearly articulate from an SOP perspective that in the event I hire contractors or even full or part time employees, the business still runs smoothly?
Hello, hello, hello. It's Holly Rustic here with Grant Writing and Funding, and I am super excited to have Sheleia Phillips on the podcast today again, 3 years
Again.
later. And Sheleia, you are from SMP Nonprofit Consulting, this founder and CEO, and you do a lot when you have your agency. You're really helping nonprofits out there, specifically with writing grants, and I
Mhm.
love that. And I love that you came on here 3 years ago, like just getting out of your full-time job, starting up your full-time
Yes.
consultancy, and it is growing and thriving and scaling amazingly. So we're
Thank
going to talk about
you.
it today. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. I would love to. First of all, Holly, thank you for inviting me again. It's always a good time. I'm so proud of you for continuing to grow your community of nonprofit professionals and grant writers and just using your platform for good. I don't take that lightly. And I think it's crazy that I was here just 3 years ago. And like you said, I just quit my full-time job. I was scared out of my mind, but had something to say about just the journey. And now I'm like, oh, now we can just talk about reflections and what I've learned so far. So it should be a good time for the folks listening today.
Yes, and you're going to be a speaker at the Nonprofit Consulting Conference. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
so definitely you guys are going to want to check that out, spend some more time. And we're really going to be looking at like that journey though, because I know a lot of folks that listen to the podcast, they're writing grants inside a nonprofit, or
Hmm.
maybe they started a freelance grant writing business, and
Hmm.
it has those shaky times. It's full of optimism maybe on starting something new. But like you talked about
Yeah,
the Goldman Sachs program, right? Like it starts off with all that, but then you can dip down
yes,
into the valley of despair real quick before you go back up,
yes,
right? So like
yes, 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 yes.
fun for you. Like I just kind of dropped a little sneak peek to Goldman Sachs, right? So yeah.
Yes. So by the time the podcast comes out, I will have graduated from the Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women Black in Business program. It's a lot, but y'all, it's really rich. So myself and 150 Black women sole proprietors have gone through 12 weeks of extensive business development and just mentoring and business advising. So I'm super excited. One, that we made it. Big deal, right? That was a lot of work. But I'm also excited for the growth that I've seen so far. Like every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm evolving into a CEO. I'm not just a freelancer anymore, but I'm actually like um embracing that identity as a CEO. And then also I'm just celebrating this journey with others. We did it. We're like, y'all get up every day and do the work and support one another. It's really a beautiful experience, and I don't take it lightly that this was a once in a lifetime thing and that I successfully went through it, completed it, and like I said, by the time this comes out, I've graduated. So for all the listeners listening, feel free to drop by my social media and just shoot me an ice cream cone in solidarity, because that's what I'm going to do. Cake and ice cream to celebrate and take a break for the
Yeah.
holidays.
That was an intensive program. We're all running an agency at the same time.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And I tell people all the time, my hats are off to you. If you're a mom, you're a wife, you have all these other responsibilities. I said, it's just me, in the business. I couldn't imagine having all these other things going on, responsibilities. I'm grateful that the business, yes, has been running well. But once I was done for the day with class, I'm like, oh, it's just, I'm just chilling. I can go walk in the park and go hang with my family and then go home
Yep, yep.
and rest.
I love that though. That's such a great accomplishment. So congratulations. I
Thank
am
you.
so loving. I've been watching you on social. Like I said, I saw you in New York, like on
Thank
social.
you. Yeah, yeah. I have to do better at documenting. I have a mentor that tells me to document the journey. So it's not all just grants and grant tips. It's like, hey, y'all, for those of you who want to walk this path of quitting your job, doing the solo thing, and then you're like, oh, this can be really big. I can actually be a CEO of a grant writing business. Like documenting that from it's still professional, but from a personal side and just my reflections, it's useful and it can help someone else. And that that lives beyond you and the work that we do when you're able to give back and just share those gems of wisdom.
Right. Yeah. Creating this legacy. And so let's kind of like,
Yes.
let's do the reflection. I love this. So you came before on the podcast, and we'll have
Yes.
that podcast in the show notes. So you guys have to check that out. And
Yes.
you had just kind of walked into this, I think a couple months into it, right? Like having
Mm-hmm,
this
mm-hmm.
consultancy, and you're like, okay, I'm going to give it a go for 3 months and see how this goes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, so what was the journey then as far as like staying in it? Like what had
Mm-hmm.
you kind of talk us through like that portion of like, okay, I'm gonna stay in this. Like what was that kind of staying factor and not looking for jobs on your Rolodex in the corner?
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, I still looked for jobs, just didn't pan out that way. So let me, Holly, I want to approach this, if this is the right term, from a slingshot perspective. So let's go back and then we'll catapult forward. When I first sat in this seat, I had just quit my job. We were all in the throes of a pandemic, so I'm technically a great resignator, if that makes sense. We were all
Yeah.
figuring it out. We were like, you know what, we can't do it. The world is just so unstable. It was chaotic. And I'm just like, the best thing right now for me, professionally and personally, is just to, do some freelancing. But to your point, it was only a 3-month thing. I believe you and we had followed each other for such a long time, and to have this opportunity on the podcast, even with that in mind, I was like, I'm still going to do this for 3 months and then do it on the side, but I don't want to go into nonprofit work. I'm like, I like to eat, so I can go work at a restaurant if I just have to, get out the house and make money. But I felt like I needed a break from all of this. And it wasn't the work, it wasn't our clients. It was just a lot going on in that time. I think everybody was going through something different. So I got to the 3-month mark, and I say 3 months because I was actually a subcontractor with one of my mentors here in St. Louis on a project that was set to wrap, and I had no clue where my next client would come from. So I'm just like, I'm an avid saver. I can just kind of coast. I've never taken like a break before in my life. So I'm just gonna, chill out. But initially, this very same mentor, her name's Teresa Wilkie, love her, absolutely love her. She's a dear friend. Recommended me to be the main grants consultant with a nonprofit here, and that led to a multi-year contract for me. So I won't say that I did anything special. It was just favor and connections, and that I was able to have that multi-year client while building out my business. But first I had to figure it out, right? So if we're talking about reflections as a business owner, I had to make sure that I was okay, because the in some regards we are the business. Holly, I'm sure you had that experience where when things are well with you, the business as well, because you're able to pay attention. But when things aren't well, it's time to pay attention, because we're responsible for multiple parts, not just client delivery, but HR, legal, taxes, all of these things. So it gave me some time to take a break, really reflect on what I learned in the for-profit space, and then either shift the culture for certain things in my business, or take upon what was working and then embed it in the business to do even better. So again, I didn't do anything special. And it came to a point where this is where a lot of people say like the work will speak for itself. So the more I work with this particular client, they will refer me to, I had a lot of word of mouth, and it's still a lot of people come to me by word of mouth. They're like, oh my gosh, Lee, you work with, and we love their work. Can you work with us also? So it's all about like, is it under promise but over deliver, and do it in a way that is unique to you. Like everybody can find a grant, but what's your special spirit on the process and helping clients? So here at S&P, we're really big on not only the deliverable but the education behind it, because we want you to be to enhance your capacity, whatever that means, so that you're not completely always having to come back, but you know how to have some skill sets on your own, and coaching our clients through that. So that has always worked really well for us. And then just having the right people in your corner and networking with folks like you, and with the conferences and everything like that, it just all fell together. And then one day I looked up and I'm like, oh, we're almost at year 3. So it went from a 3-month plan, and now we're still here. And that's a testament to just growth, working what's working, like I said, and really having a heart to just do well. We do everything. We don't believe in perfection here. We believe in excellence, and that has proven to be the successful strategy for us.
I love that. And I love those different, because there were certain very specific things, right, that you're doing. Like you had a mentor. Like that's huge.
Yes.
Like a lot of
Yes.
people like look at the trajectory that that sent you on,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
such a great thing to do, is have a mentor who's been in the space, who's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whatever, and can bring you on.
Mm-hmm.
And then having an anchor client, like you said, you had a multi-year grant or client.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you're like, okay, I guess I will hang out here for a while because I got some
Mm-hmm.
cash flow,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like that's
Mm-hmm.
huge. So like
Yeah.
those two things alone are amazing. And then when you talked about like, then I started writing the grants and then the grants spoke for me. Like I started doing the
Mm-hmm.
work,
Mm-hmm.
spoke for me. And that's what I say too. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people in the program that we have too, it's the same thing. It's like, get out there, write grants. I love it when my clients are
Yeah.
like posting on social media, just won $10,000 for my client or whatever, you know, all these
Yeah.
things, right? And I'm like, celebrate that, show that. And really
Yes.
with grant writing, I think word of mouth and just those kind of like seeing those kind of things, right? Seeing the
Mm-hmm.
work, that's what gets you clients.
The
You
work
don't
speaks for itself.
have
Yeah.
a million people on, you don't even need an email list. Like you don't need all the things, right? Like you
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
really,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how many clients do you really need to be a freelancer?
Yeah.
And then if you go as
Yeah.
an agency, then you can really,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. So I would say, Holly, that's a really great recap. If I could add to it, clarity was always my focus. So even in the types of opportunities folks would share with me, I'm like, what do I want to do and what am I good at? I don't believe in doing work. Well, let me say this. When you start out as a freelancer, you're trying everything, right? Because you're looking for clients, you're trying to get your name out there. And when I say we worked what worked, the types of services we provided, I kept it the same. Jerisha Hawk, I've been a part of her business coaching program a couple years ago. She was like, business should be boring. You don't have to create 50 11. I know that's not proper English, but y'all get my point. Services, stick to your main three. And that's something that has reigned with me throughout the journey. And not saying that you can't do a special project, that's what we call it, but our core offerings stay the same. And then I would also say, like you said, having a mentor has been amazing. You, as a freelancer, CEO, whoever, if you're in this space, if you're a business owner, period, you always need people in your corner who will mention your name in a room of opportunities without you even being there. And then, of course, have that anchor client. So maybe it's your previous place of employment that you did such an amazing job. They hate to see you go. You can translate that into your first full-time client. Maybe it's some folks that you're like, hey, reaching out and hey, hire me for 3 months, see what you think, and let's do a recap and just constantly, you know, let the work speak for itself. So yeah, that was a great recap. I just wanted to add those tidbits or quotables for folks who are
yeah,
in the podcast listening land.
right. Yeah, and that's absolutely true. It's like having that cash flow is so important, right? And I love that you
It
said,
is.
yeah, like your former job or the one you're leaving. And that's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like so many people, they're like, oh, I can actually announce that. Yes, they actually want to keep
Yes.
you like a part of you.
Yes.
That's how you can do it.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
love that so much. And just like former clients, I remember when I left my full-time nonprofit job, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
was,
Mm-hmm.
I sent out an email to all of my contacts that I had for the job, right? And I was like, I'm leaving, you know, just let them know you're leaving and all of that, who the new POC is and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
shared, I'm opening up my own agency, and I had a bunch. That's where I got my first like anchor client too. Was just like, okay, we're so excited that you're still writing grants. Let's go ahead and
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's perfect. You know, so it can work very naturally because it's the work. Once again, that's
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
you transitioned into this, and then bigger transition too, or not bigger, but part of that. Well, I like how you talked about the clarity, and I love how you mentioned the fewer things you have to offer, because I see a lot of freelancers making this mistake too. They're like, I'm just going
Mm-hmm.
to keep it so open, or they show me like their services that they're going to pitch, and they're like
Mm-hmm.
3 pages of services because they're
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
scared that they're not going to have something available for the nonprofit to choose.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's like this scarcity of like, but what if they ask for that? What do they want
Mm-hmm.
that? I want them to know I can do it too.
Mhm,
And I'm like,
mhm,
oh
mhm.
no, they're going to be so paralyzed by decision making at this point.
Yeah.
They're really not going to understand what you do. So can you
Yeah, yeah.
talk more about that? Because that is such a golden gem that you mentioned, like the fewer services, having your main three, and having special
Yeah.
projects. you know, touch on those things, but not like throwing it all out there on paper.
Yeah. So I actually love that you asked that question. So I am a self-proclaimed introvert, meaning I need my time to recharge. In addition to that, um, I'm such a strategic thinker that I can get worn out. So my decision to really focus on making the main thing basically, is so that as I am growing my business, I'm making decisions on like the actual business operations versus like the other stuff. So it's basically, how should I say this? Let me retract a little bit. I'm sorry. It's basically reserving your mental powers to grow the business versus trying to offer so many services that you don't give yourself a chance to scale. When you're doing everything, being everywhere, and being all things to everybody, you're still working in your business, right? Not on your business. And that's not really sustainable. So we got really clear on who's our ideal client, because qualified client doesn't mean ideal. So you talk a lot about this in your cohorts about like the types of nonprofits, budget, what mission focus are they in, and things like that. So we really got clear on that, and who's the key decision makers that we need to be speaking to, and really sharing our thought process to bring them on as a partner. And then we focused on and when I say we, me and my whiteboard, I'm sorry, y'all. I got a big old whiteboard that it's kind of like talking to yourself, but I promise I don't answer myself. I just let the ideas flow. I start thinking through, okay, what are the
So
my
yeah.
notes. If y'all can see it, I'll spare you the details. But I started thinking through like what's the most profitable services that we can offer from a financial perspective, but also from a mental perspective, right? And then what can I easily duplicate, because we
Mhm.
want business to be boring, right? So you have to think about what can I charge premium prices for and not overcharging and being unethical, but what can I prove the value of the price point, right? So that makes the difference between working with 10 clients per month and making a certain amount versus 2 clients per month and you're still making that same amount. You know what I'm saying? So that's something to consider. And then for me with scaling, not saying like I don't know what's to come, but with scaling, I want to create my business in such a way that I can be duplicated, not replaced, but duplicated, because I want to take vacations. I like taking naps, things like that. And I don't want to be the bottleneck in the business. So what can I do from it? What services can I clearly articulate from an SOP perspective that, in the event I hire contractors or even full or part-time employees, the business still runs smoothly. So those are some key things to consider. And just work what works for you. What may work for one firm may not work for you, and that's okay. You just want to design your business, whether freelance or you're building an agency, in a way that aligns with your life. I believe that we are human beings, not human doings, and part of being a human being is just designing your life in a way where you can just be. Like, I want y'all to write that down, so I don't have to stress myself out about doing everything that everyone else is doing, but what works for us and the clients that come to us is top priority.
I love that so much. Yeah, I'm a human being. I love it. So
Yeah, we're human beings.
and that's so good too, because yeah, we really come from the place of like, what's your goal in your business? And because like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, like your lifestyle might be completely different than somebody else's. You know what I mean? Like that
Yes, yes.
different situation. And so it's like, how does that work for you? But and I do think there's some vein though that kind of like goes into it, as far as like simplicity still does, you know,
Yes,
does
yes.
work for any type of goal that you have. So
Yes,
like
yes,
keeping
yes.
it simple, because then if you create like, you know, we love creating things like create a master grant application for our client, and that's something that you have a template for and can just redo
Mm-hmm.
based on, you know what I mean, getting certain information.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
That plug and play, and then you can be
Yeah.
really good at that. Or if you focus in like the arts organizations, let's say, and getting grants for arts organizations, the more that
Mm-hmm.
you go
Mm-hmm.
about like what's out there for certain foundations that have arts grants
Mm-hmm.
available, I'm the expert in that. You can blog on that, you can do whatever on that, you can
Mm-hmm.
talk about that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it's easy to grow and scale just in the knowledge, but also in the process of however you build that.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I write these types of
Yes.
grants all the time. And when this comes up, I'm going to get 10 people coming right away just to write that
Mm-hmm.
grant. I write it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
out, I maybe be a grant
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
reviewer for it, right? So
Yeah.
but you can't do
And
that
and
if
I,
you things.
if
Right?
you're all over the place. And
Yeah.
one thing I will say, Holly, this is a fresh download. One thing that our clients do really well, they are mission focused.
Ooh,
Okay.
yes.
And they know this is what we do, this is how we do it, and we are managing and stewarding our resources well to we can act on it and create impact. We need to keep that same mindset as service providers.
You do.
If
Yeah.
our clients are satisfied, they're not necessarily satisfied in how things go all the time. I get that. But for the most part, our clients are focused on this is what we do. They're passionate about it, right? And they very rarely change lanes.
Yep.
And they know here's our North Star. The strategic plan might change, but for the most part, we're focusing on this particular area. We need to do that as consultants. Like, what are the areas where we show up well, where we can feel fulfilled, because there is a fulfillment in our work that comes up. We wouldn't be here anyway, but then also offer excellence. We can't offer excellence and feel fulfilled if we're in every different space. So find what you enjoy. As a data nerd, I'll tell y'all, naturally I'm gonna write grants, right? That's how we all got into this. But one of my favorite things to do, teaching and data. Teaching, I'm gonna coach, right? But from a data perspective, I love researching grants because I'm able to make analysis and connect the data and the insights to serve our clients well. So think about what you enjoy, because if you're going to own a business entrepreneurship is stressful in and of itself. Like, find things that you enjoy to make that journey lighter, and just focus. We can definitely learn that from our clients.
I love that so much. That's so good. So as your business is now growing, and another thing that you've done is you have subcontractors. So you do have an agency where you have multiple grant writers
Yes.
under as well, right?
Yes.
That you can
Love
so
them. They are my saving grace.
and the thing is that is wonderful, but a lot of people when they are from that kind of jump from it's just me and my business and I'm keeping all the
Mm-hmm.
profit to now should I hire
Mm-hmm.
somebody even if it's a consultant to help out with some grants? What does that look like? How much?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of get stuck in like that's going to take away my profit instead of growing my profit. Can you talk about
Mm-hmm.
like what your mindset was with that process or strategy was with that process on how you made that shift? Because that's a huge shift of
Yeah. Yeah.
what we do, right? So
Yeah, so I can't say that I had a formal process. As with everything in the beginning of my business, in the beginning of my business, it was baptism by fire. So my first independent contractor was actually, she started out as my mentee.
mhm.
And funny story, when we first met, she was like, Shaleia, I would love for you to can you help me navigate certain things on the job, and like, give me some insights. I want to grow and develop. And I remember saying to myself, and I think I was on the phone with my mom one day, and I was like, Mom, I don't think I have anything to teach. Like, I'm just here. I literally just quit my job. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to keep in connection, because we joke in this industry, like, you very rarely find other grant writers in a similar space, similar life story. So I was like, I'm just gonna, like, let's just talk about things about work. And it ended up being, I did have a lot to share with her. And I'm like, as we grew together and I learned from her, let me make sure to say that, I'm like, hey, I have XYZ projects coming up and I need an extra set of hands. Can we, grow our relationship from being peer to peer to now we're still peer to peer, but you're also helping me serve this client, because our monthly, I call them monthly partnership clients, had grew to where I can't manage more than 2 calendars for me personally. Like, that's just me. Um, just to keep my sanity and actually have some time outside of the office and not looking at the screen. I'm like, I would need some support. And I had seen her growth, so I was very comfortable with hiring her, because I was looking at her grants and providing feedback, and she learned very quickly, so I wasn't uncomfortable like, ooh, I'm not sure if I should hire this person, which is a concern of a lot of freelancers, outside of how can I pay for one, but the quality of their work. So I was able to see her grow and develop in that. Yeah. And you'll hear folks say a lot of times, like, I stopped using contractors because I feel like I'm still doing all the work. But one thing that I'm learning, and I thank God for her, because she grew with me in that she helped me develop a lot of the SOPs that we have today. So once my second hire came, it was like, okay, let's document this, because Sheleia, when you went out of town, I didn't know what to do, but I kind of, I made it work. And that's not good from a business perspective, where the owner has all of the institutional knowledge from like the administrative side. So we worked together to create SOPs and automations. And now, 2023, we have this library of training tools. So in the event that I want to take a break, or they want to take a break, right? Or we need to communicate with one another. Like, there's no one person on the team that houses one particular set of knowledge that will hinder or inhibit how we operate. So I would say, if you're thinking about hiring, independent contractors, one, be very clear on the support that you need. Is it grant writing? Is it grant research? Is it, administrative? Because those are totally different things. It requires a different skill set, a different project scope. But then also think about it as, from a financial side, I hear you 1000%. Like, yes, in the interim, it's going to cost you some money, but it's an investment that's really going to help you scale. I would not be making as much revenue in my business now if it was just me, or I could, but I might be going a little crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but when you
Teamwork
have a team that teamwork makes the dream work. And I'm not big, Holly, as a person on making money by any means. I want to be healthy enough mentally and physically to enjoy the fruits of my labor. So I was only able to do that by delegating. And then once you're clear on that, once you have your beliefs around, like, what does this look like financially for the business, in an aligned way that is not so scary. It's going to be scary anyway. It's a risk, right? But it's going to be kind of scary. But once you're done with that, then make it clear, how you serve clients. So while independent contractors aren't employees, you can give them some direction, and expectations around, this is how we serve our clients in excellence, and this from A to Z is what excellence looks like. We call it the S&P way. It's like SOP, standard operating procedures. It's like, hey, y'all, this is the S&P way. This is how we deliver to our clients. This is how they expect us to show up. And if you're going to be part of this team, we show up in this way so that they're not surprised, and then it keeps them coming back. So yeah, clarity and just being comfortable with risk, I would say. Although I fell into it, being open to growth, having clarity, and being open to their risk has yielded a lot of positive results with me and subcontractors. Hopefully I'll be able to hire somebody full as an employee, but that's TBD. I'll let y'all know maybe the next time I come on what the update is.
Because I mean, SOPs have changed my business dramatically, right? And it's also helped with healthier relationships with
absolutely
people that are working with me, right? Before I would kind of get into that, like, I feel like I'm doing too much. I feel like I'm kind of doing so much quality control. And I had to pull back and say, well, that's my fault because I'm not very specific, or I don't have policies around this, or or I'm not showing examples of what I want. They can't read my mind. Like, it's so, and it does take time then to really develop.
It does.
Like, it can, right?
And let me say this, Holly, I'm speaking from a perspective of, I'm at year 3. Like, we're at year 3 with this. I did not have any of this in place until like year 1.5. Like, we went into developing maybe 1 or 2 SOPs, and then that grew because we were building upon it. So, like, y'all don't listen to this and say, or let me say this. If you're just starting out in business, give yourself the opportunity to grow into it. Don't stress about 20 SOPs, because you're going to need to know and even pivot and make adjustments to how your process works as you work with more clients. Like, I'm speaking from a year, me and Holly are speaking from multiple years of experience, and we know what works for us. So we don't want y'all to pressure yourselves. But if you are a consultant that's been in the game for a couple years, you kind of settled in, it's time to start documenting those procedures so that you can scale. Or if you want to take a break, your business can still make money.
Exactly. And it's so great to have that. And thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, if you're in the beginning of it, it's just like figuring those 3 main things out that you're going to offer, the one main thing or whatever that is, like, and working and seeing what your niche is and really where you want to like settle into and grow and what you like. And I have a lot of people, like, they come in and they're like, I want to learn grant writing, and then they learn how to do a nonprofit wellness audit. They're like, I love this, actually. I want to learn this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's a
Yeah.
niche, or I just
Yeah.
love doing grant management. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's more people that
Mm-hmm.
need
Mm-hmm.
grant management out there
Yeah,
alone.
definitely in the grant management space. Yeah.
Yeah, that's different than grant writing, totally. Like a lot of grant writers will not even touch grant management. That's like its own
Mm-hmm.
thing, right? So it's like figuring that, or
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit strategic planning, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
that is, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like give yourself time to kind of feel it out. And I think in the beginning too, like you had mentioned, you are kind of doing a lot of different things potentially, right? Like I know I
Yes.
was doing a lot of different things. And
Yes.
well, then I had to kind of figure out, well, what is the thing I like to do? And
Mm-hmm.
really interesting to do that, to kind of get a flavor of different things. And then if I want to offer something once in a while, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing a nonprofit strategic webinar with Sean Casal.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I
Yes.
can offer something very specific because I know how to do that. You know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
but it's not like that's going to be something that's forward facing on my website all the
Yes.
time. You know what I mean? So it's just like something that you
Yeah.
can in your back pocket or something like that as well. So
Yeah.
that's
And I took a lot of pressure off of myself. Because I was like, well, if I just focus on 2 or 3 services, then what else can I do? And I'm like, it just came to me one day. I'm like, it'll just be a special project. But I get to, execute special projects when I have the capacity and interest and heart to do so versus having to do it with all of our standard offers. So,
yeah.
there's some flexibility in there for sure.
Yeah, and like figuring out how to market all the different things, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can save you on marketing your brain so you
Yes.
on the few things that you can market,
We
right?
only got a few brain coins in a day. We got to be very mindful how we spend them.
So I love this so much. So let's talk about as we wrap up here, I just want people to know too, like, so your business, what are the 2 to 3 things that you offer? So those people listening out there might be like, oh, I need to hire a grant writer. I need to hire, like, let them know about what your services are and where they can find you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So S&P Nonprofit Consulting is a full service boutique firm that provides grant writing, capacity building, and fund development services to nonprofits all across the United States. So whether that is providing you with the extra set of hands and extra brain coins for the grant writing process, whether direct service or coaching or providing some consulting or finding aligned opportunities, and just overall having a team of folks to support you in all of the nuances that tend to occur in the grant writing world. We're your people. We approach all of our work from a community-centric fundraising perspective. As we talked about earlier, we are human beings, not human doing. So we do not approach the work from a transactional space, but from a equity and relationship building perspective for those who want to see what progressive fundraising looks like, especially in the institutional space. So we are well, this was earlier this year, so I don't know, I need to recount. Last time I checked, we were over $5 million in grants awarded. And that's just included in the, award notifications. I'm like, I need to learn how to calculate the ROI for like relationships built, grants found, things like that. But things are going well. The thing that's most exciting to us is that our clients are learning, they're growing, and we're able to do things differently and really approach resource development in the sector in a different way, and all while having a lean team of folks who are all across the country. We have at least one digital nomad, and being able to see the vision I had 3 years ago come into fruition by serving nonprofits such as you all who are listening in today has been our extreme pleasure. So if you are interested in learning how we do things, quote unquote, the S&P way, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll make sure that my contact information is in the show notes. Or if you just want to talk and connect with me on something that you've heard today, I would love, love, love to continue the conversation. And as always, we're happy to serve you. But if you want to have a conversation first, just let us know.
Yeah, we'll have all of the links in the show notes. And then, and just for people listening that want to jump on over to your website right away, is it smpnonprofitconsulting.com?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's www.smpnpc.com.
There we go. There we go. Okay, mpc.com. There we go. So yeah, that's easier. There we go. So if you all listening, jump over there. Otherwise, we'll have everything in the show notes. And I see you on
Yes.
LinkedIn and Instagram the most. Is that where you're hanging out on social the most?
Yes. So we have a LinkedIn and Instagram. Those are like most, primary. So you'll see me there more often, but you can also find me on YouTube. There's some teachable or coaching sessions on there. And then if you have Facebook, you can find us under S&P Nonprofit Consulting. So whatever your favorite social media profile lands, that's where you can find us. We don't have a Twitter though, or anything like that.
We were on Clubhouse for a while. I don't know whatever happened to Clubhouse.
I haven't logged in the Clubhouse, Holly, in so long. Is it still active?
No, it was like the thing, and I was like, "Ooh, this is good." I remember hearing you on it. I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." And then I was like,
yeah. Yeah, I think that was like our pandemic platform because everybody was at home. We were, yearning for social connection. So we were having conversations about values and like-minded things in the work. And then I think when everybody went to work or went back into the office, it kind of shifted. And to be honest, I'm not surprised because we would be on Clubhouse till like midnight. And I'm like, y'all, we got to get up and go to work in the morning or, be on Zoom at 8. So yeah, it's interesting. I may log into my profile later on just to see if it's still active.
What's going on? Let me know. It was like,
let's see what's going on.
It was like constantly, almost like webinars at all times, at any time.
It was great. Yes.
It's cool, but I was like, it is sucking my time. I was on it for a couple weeks.
Yes. Like, if you utilize Clubhouse like in a very strategic way, you could have gotten thousands upon thousands of dollars of strategy, insight, and business development wisdom from the best in the business for free. And you can listen to it from your bed with your AirPods on or whatever. And it was great for that. So I'm going to be very transparent. When I made the leap from quitting my job to doing freelancing full time, I was listening to Clubhouse and how people, build up their cash reserves, how to network and all of these other things. So Clubhouse definitely had its place. It was an amazing platform. I think one day I just woke up and stopped using it. So I can't tell you what happened. I think I just got busy, like you said, because it was a time suck to a degree because we spent all of our days on there. So yeah.
Live. It was like, because I love podcasts, you can kind of tune in on what you want at different times.
Yeah.
Going on live right now, and it was like you wanted to be involved with everything right now.
It was a time. It was crazy. Pandemic was crazy.
But yeah, but kudos to you for getting up and trying out that platform and really making it work and like getting really well known on there and everything. Like that was amazing.
Yeah. And a lot of our followers from Clubhouse are still with us on Instagram. I'm not new to LinkedIn, but I'm new to like really being present on that platform. So we're getting some folks there. So I'm grateful. And then once they find me there, they'll join the email list if they want to hear from me more often, which I don't take lightly. So it's been good. It's been a really good social media journey for us too.
I love it. Well, I still follow you and you guys are doing it.
Yes. Holly, always. We're not new to this. We true to this. Now you and I have been connected for way longer because I probably like 10 years now because I purchased your book. What was your first book?
Yeah. Gosh, I think that was 2017, so maybe 5 years.
Okay.
A little bit more than that though. Gosh, it's been a while.
Okay, but I remember following you when I was at my very first grant writing job. So we've been connected for a long time.
Yeah, the podcast has been out since 2017. So
okay.
Time. Yep.
Yeah.
Been online for a while, so I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, next time we come back on, we'll not wait 3 years this time though. We'll
have
we want to see how you're implementing all the things too from your amazing experience with the Goldman Sachs opportunity that you had. And you wrote that grant,
Thank you.
Because you wrote
yes. So I wrote the grant and then I had our amazing in-house editor make sure that it made sense because when you write grants for a living, your brain can start glitching. So it was when it came to the final polishing of it, she looked it over and we sent it in and when I say maybe a month later, had the interview, and then a month after that, found out that I got in, which shocked me. But that's a whole nother story for a different day. We'll talk about that when we talk about reflections. We'll talk about imposter syndrome and how it's really really just an internal thing. But that'll take us into another hour if I walk y'all through that process. Yeah. So that holds us accountable to do this again, so I can talk about that journey.
That's a huge thing. Yeah, that's a huge thing. So I love it when grant writers write grants for themselves. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yep, that's awesome. So we'll have you back on and we'll have all of the links in the show notes. Thank you so much, Sheleia, for coming on, and I'll see you at the Nonprofit Consulting Conference. So
yes, I will see you then, Holly. Thank you again. I appreciate you.
We'll see you soon.